One of the biggest obstacles that we have today in this generation is emunat chachamim, which is the next part, most likely the last one for tonight. This is having faith in our sages. Unlike other religions that are solely dependent on one person that died or that never lived bichlal, whether it be Christianity's falsianity or false testament, that is all dependent on some guy that was really an adulterer, that came out of adultery, that was a mamzer himself, him supposedly being righteous, even though he's as wicked can be. The whole thing depends on him. Meaning, if he's not in the book, the whole book is garbage. It's garbage, actually, regardless, but the point is that the whole thing depends on him. Now, even the followers of Yeshu Yimach Shemo V'Zichro go against his sages, go against the people that put together the New Testament. You see them having entire debates about who Paul was this, Paul was that. Some people hate him, some people love him. No one really knows who these people are. No one really knows who Jesus was because the writers never actually saw him. But nonetheless, there is a major disconnect between the main character in the book, his followers, and the followers among themselves. And the sages among themselves, if you could call them sages. Like, everybody is their own entity. That's why you're never going to meet two Christians with the same belief. Every one of them believes something else. Every single one of them makes their own version of Christianity. No two Christians believe the same exact thing. This one believes he's Mashiach, the other one believes he's God, the one believes he's both, some believe he's Pikachu. Oh, everybody has their own little nonsensical belief that they create, and they just pick and choose whatever they want to believe, what they don't want to believe, and most of them are really ignorant anyway. They just know just a little bit, just enough to make them idol worshippers, but that's it. Now, but there's a major disconnect between them and the sages, if you will. Not very different when it comes to Islam. Islam, the whole thing depends on Muhammad. If there's no Muhammad, there's no religion. You can't say, oh, no, we pray to Allah. It's not true. They pray to Muhammad. They pray to Muhammad. If this Muhammad is in the picture, Islam is good. Muhammad's not in the picture, Islam is in bad shape. Why? That's up to them. I saw one time them reading their own version of what happened during the Exodus. What happened in Egypt. Their own version. It's like a midrash almost. Or what happened with Moses, they call Musa. It said that Paro was evil. Paro was evil in his heart. Even though they're coming from the same place, they said Paro was evil in his heart. He's going to get us all in trouble. They're writing in their own book. Say he's going to get us all in trouble. He's evil. Musa is a good person. Blessed be upon him. And so on. It's in the Quran. But if you keep going along the story, somehow, even though he wasn't even alive for another 2,000 years, Muhammad comes along. Oh, and Muhammad, blessed be his name. What does he have to do with this? He's not even alive for 2,000 years. Meaning, without Muhammad, there's no Islam. Why is this a serious problem? Because this, first of all, this could be idolizing. But aside from that, that means that everything depends on a human being. And there's a major disconnect. There's really, even though they have, if you want to call them sages, wise men, whatever you want to call them, they don't refer to them. They refer, everything goes always back to Muhammad, nonstop. Because their religion depends on one person. Christianity depends on one person. Buddhism depends on one fat person. Everybody has their person. Judaism doesn't have a person. We have God, we have his sages. We have God, we have his sages. You want to be a sage? You can be a sage. How? Learn an enormous amount of Torah and make sacrifices from the morning from the minute you wake up till the minute you go to sleep, in order to become one. But the reality is, Rabotai, is that having faith in these sages from our previous generation is very much the bedrock of our Torah. Because if you don't have faith in our sages, then you're not going to have authentic Judaism. Only when a person understands that his teacher, her teacher, is her connection to the sages, her connection to Mount Sinai. Not a connection to God. Connection to God, you don't need anybody. But in order to know exactly what happened and the word of Hashem and what does He want and how does He want and so on, we depend on our sages. Not one sage, not two. We have countless sages throughout history. Each one specialized in something else, some the same things, some others, some debated among each other, some agreed with each other. But the point is, we have to rely on many, many sages. And even if we determine that we want to go with one specific opinion, that opinion has to be accepted by other sages. You can't just decide, no, I'm just going to go with the Rambam on this one. I'm just going to go with this one on that one. You can't just decide for yourself to mix and match, make a salad out of Judaism. It has to be accepted by also the modern sages. And the problem is that when a person does not submit to the sages, submit to the Chachamim, submit to the rabbis, he's not going to have authentic Judaism. He's actually going to have quite the opposite. Because he's going to try to translate the law himself. He's going to read the Shulchan Aruch himself and decide what's halacha. He's going to read the Rambam himself and decides what's halacha. And the problem is that he's deciding what took our sages a lifetime to determine in 5 minutes. Like it's eating a bag of chips. Meaning he's not going to give it the same weight that he has to as if it's life or death. It's like, oh, okay, so if I make a mistake, big deal. They made mistakes. Which means that he thinks he's on the same level, or she thinks she's on the same level as the sages. And that's one of the biggest problems in the world that we have today. That people simply don't have emunat chachamim. They don't have any respect or faith in our sages. And the Machzor Vitri says that only when a person understands that his teachers are part of the tradition of the oral law given to Moshe Rabbeinu at Mount Sinai, can he earnestly apply himself to plumbing in debts. Meaning that only when he actually realizes that whatever teacher he decides, whoever his rabbi is, that's his connection to all of the teachers between him and Moshe Rabbeinu. This is the connection. There's nothing else. This is it. Until he submits that this is it, this is the connection, he's not going to be able to really go deep into things. Why? He's too busy questioning everything. He's too busy picking and choosing whatever opinion, picking and choosing whatever rabbi, picking and choosing everything like it's a salad, like he's picking and choosing a new outfit to wear for his bar mitzvah. And a person like this will fall into the trap of being very cynical and become like the ancient Sadducees and Bethusians who rejected the entire oral Torah. I see this a lot today with different people that simply do not have a rabbi. They say they have a rabbi sometimes, but the rabbi doesn't even know who they are. Or they just don't listen to the rabbi. They say he's my rabbi, but when the rabbi said something to them, they don't listen to him. It's like, oh yeah, he's my rabbi. I just don't listen to everything he says. That means he's not your rabbi. If you're not listening to everything he says, especially the stuff that you don't agree with, he's not your rabbi. He's just a guy that you know. That's it. Because Torah tells us, part of our oral Torah, you have to have Yirat Shamayim. You also have to have Yirat Harav. How much? You have to have as much fear of the rabbi as you do of fear of God. To that extent. Why? He's your connection to the truth. Not connection to God. You don't need anybody to connection to God. But he's your connection of how to serve this God. What to do, when to do it, and so on and so forth. What's expected of you.